On item number 3, is there any public comment? There being none, I'll proceed to number 4, discussion possible action to adopt resolution provided by Mr. Rolando Rios. Mr. Rios? Did everybody get a copy?
Sure. Commissioner, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Resolution designed to help the elected officials when they go to vote. Hundreds of votes. And within 10 years of voter registration, any voter rate will start with the number 1 in the commission of 51. Every voter rate will start with number 2 in the commission of 52, 3 and 4 so on. So it helps you with the elected officials who are out looking and put voters.
Had a previous engagement, so you couldn't, with Mr. Levon Llagas, Joaquin Alba, Erasmo Ramirez, and myself, in the forum. We also have Mr. Rolando Rios. Paul Lester here. Today, on the item.
Test.
I'll go with the leader.
Test.
On item number 3, is there any public comment? There being none, I'll proceed to number 4, discussion possible action to adopt resolution provided by Mr. Rolando Rios. Continue with Mr. Reese. Do you play the date?
How much?
Is the meeting on the 29th, right? Good morning. Thank you for being here at the Commissioners Court meeting of March 29th, 2021. It's 10 o'clock a.m. or 10:07 a.m. We're at the district courtroom here at 101 Courthouse Square in Cotulla. We have a forum. Commissioner Ayala had a previous engagement, so he couldn't be here, with Commissioner Miguel Naves, Joaquin Alba, Erasmo Ramirez, and myself. Is a forum. We also have Mr. Rolando Rios. All of us are here today on some of the items. If we could rise, say the pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, honor and protect the flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas one state under God, one and indivisible. On item number 3, is there any public comment? There being none, proceed to number 4. Discussion possible action to adopt resolution provided by Mr. Rolando Rios. Mr. Rios? Did everybody get a copy? Okay.
Commissioner, thank you for allowing me. Designed to help to I'm doing very hundreds of polling places. And voter registration card, any voter that starts with a number 1 is in Commissioner Precinct 1. Every voter that starts with 2 is Commissioner Precinct 1. So it helps you as elected officials in your action and some voters don't start, you can tell them which commissioner precinct they're in. And also helps you voters, which commissioner is representing them. So it's a very straightforward resolution, the precincts, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Looking at changes where we have no map on the old one. You can see the differences on the changes. Well, because right here, this one right here, we still got that little block where that we're gonna take that block off. Well, there's 3. We do 2 things. You got 2 options. One is to align your JPs all together. So this is what this resolution is. The second is the realignment of the precinct lines. That's a separate meeting. So today is just put precinct 1 together, precinct 2 and 6 together, precinct 4 and 5 together, and 3 gets left alone. That's the only thing that's going to do today. Okay. Then to draw lines, I want everybody here. We get some more detailed maps and then you'd figure. That will try to get some preliminary numbers so we can not have to come back and forth.
Yeah, but we're talking about precinct 1, we're not talking about precinct 1, we're talking about precinct 1 for the JP. Right, so they're still gonna get 4 and they're not gonna get 1.
Well, precinct 1, if we look at the order, and maybe the mapping is not doing good. This is the map needs a little bit of
Understand what I'm talking about?
yes. Because in the mapping you gave on this big one here, right here, That's gonna be precinct 1 for JP 1 as well. So he put,
I didn't get that.
well,
I didn't get that.
he didn't give it.
No, I didn't get it.
Put it.
I didn't get a baby. So Genie, sure. Who went too deep? I don't know.
Yeah. The copy was gonna be for you. So, here's my error. So, this would be all precinct 1.
It's the same thing as that other one, right?
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and then see, precinct, 4 and 5 is all the blue.
It's the same thing. Right there, Keith.
Yeah, this meeting is only to align the JPs together.
JP, but JP should get precinct 1 or precinct 4. Right, that's what I'm talking about. It's gonna be precinct 4, that's not gonna be precinct 1.
No, there's 2 things on it. Right now, this is the way it is. This is the way precinct 1 is for, commissioners. We have to have a separate meeting to come back and straighten out that line.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, George, but the mean is, we're the commissioners and JP is JP1,
But you have to wait on the census to get some preliminary, because you can only be off a certain percentage of votes. So he has to look at all the votes in the county, and then you look at the lines, because you may have to come one row here, one row back. It depends on the change in population. So today is just to align all the JPs together, all the commissioners, put all those officials together, and then the cutting and any changes like this, you know,
yeah, I mean,
get changed. But after he gets the preliminary numbers from the census, they say, okay, y'all grew a lot, so you're gonna have to make a little bit of changes. Maybe take up this road, maybe cut back from this road, but we can straighten this. Because over here, precinct 3, also, if we look over here, here's I-35, and it cuts, or it used to, it would cut a little bit into,
yeah, about
by the road track, it cut some people up. So, you know, it may, right over here, you see how it comes over here? Well, you know, he may wanna cut here and still pick up this one, you know? But it's not gonna be a lot, but it cleans it up here too. But right now, it's just to align the precincts. And then we're gonna have a separate meeting. We're gonna have to have a separate meeting for, the complete redistricting. When do you think that would be?
A couple of things, because I just don't you a statute that the legislature is considering today. Because right now, the Census Bureau is scheduling, the release of the census at the end of September. And then we have filing in November. And so what the legislature is considering right now is discussing the census to the judge. We can pass it around, send it to you by text.
Okay.
What that statute does, it gives the Secretary of State the power to move the election. And I think it's probably going to happen. Because if the data comes out at the end of September, you've got October, and that's it. November's final. You're going to have 1 month for the Texas legislature to redistrict the congressional, state reps, state senate, Supreme Court, and all the others. They're not going to be able to do it. So my point to you, gentlemen, is that it appears very likely that the elections are going to be moved back because of, the data is not going to be available until the last day. Right now, it's scheduled. They're not going to be available until the last day of September. And this is because of the pandemic. It's created all kinds of problems with the Census Bureau being able to conduct the census. Census takers couldn't go out, people would come to the door, and so on. So they had to do a lot of changes. And now, normally, the redistricting data is available tomorrow, April 1st. And then we have from April till November for redistricting. This year, because of the pandemic, the data will not be available until the end of September. So technically today, discussing a bill that will allow the elections to be moved Probably next year sometime. But that's okay, because you guys remain honest. I'm just kidding. But that's just the reality that has been, visited upon us because of the pandemic. And this, we're just trying to clean up the map, because when the data comes out, we're gonna have to make changes in the precinct. The commission of precinct. And at that same time, we'll correct whatever else you want to correct or change. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
But if we have planned to redistrict anything,
We don't have,
we don't have to wait till September. We could have it ready and presented in September, correct?
yeah, but we have to have the data that says how many people are in each block. This community is growing pretty fast.
So would it be better to wait on this till you get all the data before we set something here?
It doesn't matter, I think you can just get it out of the way, and then when we get to the new, we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry, but however you want to do it, it's fine.
See, you do two things already. One is realign your JP, so your JP 1, 5, and 6 is gonna be the same as Commissioner 1. Because we already voted on that budget. JP number 2 right now is just number 2, and he said he was okay with it. So he become, 2 and 6. 2 and 6. Yeah, so it'd be 2 and 2A. JP number 3 is the same. Constable's, was the same, so there's no change in that. And then JP number 4 would become JP 4 and 5, which would be this and this. Now, no boundary lines are being changed today. This decision's not being made, because you need to have the census data, because there's I don't know, the 1 or 2% margin of change. So the population of the county, the precincts have to be almost equal in population, very, very close. That's what makes some precincts bigger, because you need to get more area to pick up people. And that's where, it becomes very important to look at the road. But until that final data is in, we can't make, that decision. On that part. But the budget, we already voted to change the budget. This is a resolution to make sure this takes care of that. Because if we wait and we still got Constable over there and JP, they're not bringing money, but they're still earning $55,000 a year. And you know what? That work, if there's any other work, it's going to be picked up over here.
I will say that the Texas Legislative Council is working right now on some estimates. They're creating estimates based on consensus data down to the block group level. When I get that data, I'll send you the analysis, and you could use that to do the difference, and then you won't have to look at it after the real data comes out. And we should shoot for correcting it when that data comes to us, and then we already said it. But once the real data comes out, you have to airline it, and it might be off, might not be off. But I will do the analysis and send it to you as part of the original process, and you decide which one.
But that's at the point where we can fix some of these inlets that happen. We can correct some of this, either block it all or change it, so we can, clean it up.
As long as you don't move other people.
Right. I don't think it's gonna, well, see, there's a whole precinct, there's a whole block up here that comes in over here, to precinct 5. So, and based on the last census and the number of people needed, that was the fastest choice. But it may have to be, you move one street up, one street back, because there's a lot of people that have moved in precinct 1 in the last 10 years. There's a lot of properties, new houses. So it's gonna change. But the whole thing is, it gives you the appearance of what they call gerrymandering.
It does.
It gives you the appearance by having some clean stuff, then you make it,
And we
you
can
know,
make
this
it-
out of the road, that side of the road, and take care of that.
Yeah, we can do that.
But today's sole purpose was to align the JPs, along with the commissioners. And they're all being, except JP1, they're all been paid almost equally, but, you know, it's gonna give them the coverage. So after today, right here, any tickets in this area, they have to go to James. And, you know, precinct 1 goes over here. The other tickets, they go to Frank after today.
So only today,
Yeah.
only, so we understand, so only one, like one gonna go to one.
Right.
What, we're gonna pick up 6 and, they're gonna pick up 5?
Yes. The only thing I tell you that might be a stickler, we have one constable that's on the edge, which is Barrett, he's 1, 5, and 6, I believe he lives in 6. But there's a law that says,
Very good one.
he lives in 1, okay. Because if somebody gets pushed out, there's a law that says that that person can continue to run for that position for 3 terms, I believe, on the constable. For 3 terms. So they're protected. So,
Me too would stay the same, because
Yes.
he's just 3.
Yeah, today, we're not changing boundaries today, other than aligning the JP and the constable the same as.
After, then they're not eligible no more. So, well, let's say, for example, Roxana's in precinct 1, and she wants to run in 5. She can run in 5 up to 3 terms. And that's just what the law is, it's 16 years, you know, that she can run. You know,
Yeah, she would have to go.
the precinct 5, yeah, the precinct 5, or, yeah, or unless she moves. And it's the same in constable, but nobody gets knocked out right now as it is. No one gets knocked out. So it's in that article, the Texas Constitution, and there's some counties that only have 2, JPs. Go a little bit more, I don't think it's much longer.
Starting today, starting tomorrow, we're gonna start, doing the new PO 28.
yeah,
That's good.
so you align them and it's a lot cleaner.
Once the estimates come out, like the Texas is trying to come out, I'll send you the announcement and you all can see whether or not you want to make any changes at that point, before the actual census comes out. Some counties are doing that.
All the carry. I mean, as far as registration, that's her responsibility, whether she's gonna accept it from the else. We can still cover registration, I can still do registration. If you want to still do registration, you know, it doesn't mean that they're always gonna go, but that's the coverage area, that's where the people get to decide, you know, where that's at.
Then I have,
Yes, sir.
Those who would go to the redistricting, there would be no choice, but this would be,
Well, there's gonna be some change because depending on the population, you may end up having to pick up 100 votes.
Yep.
Or, so it's like, okay, where do we get 100 votes, we circulate it. It may be that he picks up 200 votes. So you have to change the line based on the votes. Yes, sir.
here, what blocks do you want to move?
Well, I think what, you know, I'll draw on this. I think what he wanted to do is, for example,
There's like,
precinct one, then you would do
So you have to boot it all up again.
The prison's over here.
We got three prisons, not
We
three.
have prison here, there's a jail here. There's a jail. Oh, yeah. Right here, the jail.
So just so I know, these 4 blocks you want in this commissioner precinct. one.
If you wanna give him
And then
that,
and then these over here, in truth,
Yes,
I think,
and then,
he's the real, that little white one, you give him that one.
see, and here, this might be easier to write right here. Right there.
the one,
And see, and it says, Mito may want to pick this up over here in precinct 3. You know, this is what precinct 3. You know, if he wants to, we don't know yet. I know this for sure, but,
so basically, like you wanted these right in here, in this precinct, and then these 2 over here, in precinct,
right.
4. No, precinct 1.
Precinct 4.
This would be precinct 4A, precinct 1. I mean, 6A.
There's no 1, it's 4. 1 through 6.
Right here, there's 1.
Okay.
2A.
Yeah.
There's gonna be 2.
Oh, yeah, 2A. Precinct 2A. He already has the 3 and 3A. This would be
4.
Yeah, precinct, yeah. 4, but I said, it's up to you, but you may want to pick that up. Over here. This is, where is Johnson? Johnson. This is Johnson. I think the, cash and carry right here. Huh? Said you may, I don't know. Here's, St. Vincent's Hall. Bronco said you may want to get that corner, I don't know. But you got some time to decide. Huh? That's the only thing I see in cutting you out or increasing.
Yeah, Mr.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Anyway, that's, but for right now, if you want to, just correct the numbers so that we don't know, there's no more 5 and 6.
Yeah, see, I believe, Commissioner, what happens is when he gets a census back of everybody that responded, then they're gonna tell him, this is how many people needs addressed, and you get a count. And that's how he divides it, because our law says that each precinct has to be very equitable, as close as you can.
Or just like on the census this year, there was hard that a lot of people came out. He just kind of roughly figured it out, or?
Well, this is what happens. He's still chasing, the census is still chasing people down. And I know I did it online, and then they called me up just the other day, let me know, and I responded again. So hopefully they got it. But what Rolando has done is sometimes it's called undercount, that we feel like there's a lot of people, that he's represented 20, 30 county cities and so forth in lawsuits to get us new numbers of people that are not counted.
Every time they do a census, gentlemen, they miss people. No contamos acá, we didn't count all these. And the people that are undercounted the most are people of color and poor people. And so the significance of that is that when you miss people, you end up losing federal money. The census is probably the most important thing that the federal government does next to defense, because the census determines political power and federal funds. For example, in 2010, Texas picked up 3 new congressional districts because of our growth. California lost, New York lost, because people are moving up. That's political power. We now have 36 congressional districts. We might pick up another 2 or 3 after this census. And then the second thing, that besides political power, the second most important thing that they distribute on the basis of census is federal money. Aid to family dependent children, Medicare, Medicaid, and they're all based on population. So what happens is when you undercount, or you miss people, and you miss los latinos, or the poor, our community loses millions of dollars. Okay, so the judge is correct. When we get the figures, we're going to compare them. And find out, and the Census Bureau will give you know what, we think of this 5%. The South Carolina, we think of this 8%. They'll give you the information. They have scientists, they're professionals, and their whole job is trying to get accuracy. It's a big problem we had when Trump was trying to add the citizenship question to the census form, because our position was, if you add a citizenship question, people aren't going to respond. They didn't know, they're going to be scared. And so we sued in New York, that represented Hidalgo and Cameron County, we sued in New York, and we struck a question. You don't put a question in the census form without thinking about it. Normally, before you put a question in the census form, which is like 11 or 12 questions, that's it. Before they put the question in the census form, they tested for years, 1 to 2 years, to see what kind of impact it had on people that are trying to fill out the census form. And with the question of, offended people, or people don't want to answer, they usually strike it. Trump came in, within 3 months, he wanted to add a citizenship question. And the experts at the census bureau said, you can't do that. He said, no, I want it done, so he did. So we went to the federal court, and the court, the Supreme Court, struck it down on the 5-4 vote. So no, they don't, or I don't want to go into Spanish. They were able to beat them on that, because Justice Roberts, who's a conservative, said, this is the most important thing that the government has, to count people, because counts depend on political power and federal funds. And he said, you cannot answer the census. But it was a close call. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just thinking, in the resolution, where we have, and I like other language that we could add if you approve, it's a resolution to relabel the county voting precincts. Whereas it has become evident that in the best interest of the county voters to renumber the existing county voting precincts. Whereas it has become evident that the present numbering system lacks uniformity with the commissioner precinct designation, potentially creating confusion for the voters. Whereas existing voting precinct 6 is in commissioner precinct number 2, and that existing voting precinct 5 is in commissioner precinct 4. It is therefore resolved that the commissioner court adopts this resolution renumbering existing voting precinct 6 to 2A and voting precinct 5 to 4A as demonstrated in the attached series maps. I was going to ask, is it okay to say it is further resolved that this resolution realigns the JP number 1 and constable number 1 to commissioner precinct number 1 with with any realignment of boundary lines requirements or boundary line requirements upon completion of the census. So that way it solves your interest saying, hey, we just put everybody together, but when the census comes on, we'll come back and do the lines. But it has to be 2 steps. So if that's the case, we would need the motion to adopt the resolution presented by Mr. Rolando Rios.
And as amended.
Okay, and as amended.
If you want to do that.
And I would say that takes care because this is saying we're moving 6 to commissioner precinct, we're moving 5, but then they mention 1. So now this also clarifies 1. you know, as well.
Is everybody okay with that?
I'm okay with realigning it, because that's the way we've been doing the budget, we've been talking about this for a while,
On JP two, he's been wanting,
and he said he wanted more tickets.
that he wanted 6, you know, he's okay on that. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's been wanting more, he wasn't against it. And then they're all the same, then people get confused, well, you know, I wanted to vote for someone, I went over here, and I shouldn't have because I wanted to vote for,
Okay, so you're precinct 2 right here, get a 6,
See,
and you get a ticket, you guys want to say,
they still got a ticket, but if he has court, he can still do it here, he can still do it here. They all can do it here.
so what do you want for that?
Just motion,
JP one, next time around will be precinct what?
precinct one,
Just precinct one.
just precinct one.
JP one and Commissioner.
And then from around
JP two will be 2
2 and 6.
and 2A, right?
Yeah, 2A.
That's the new one just now?
Yeah.
2 and 2A. And JP three will be 3 and 3A.
And that's exactly like you.
Yes, and JP four,
It'd be 4,
Right.
yeah, it'd be 4.
you would be only 3, Nomito? 3A. There's a little branch map over there. Like the ranch.
What happens is the congressional district of Henry comes around Artesia. So somewhere under there, we're in one congressional district, and then the other is up there. And that's another topic in the future. Henry wants us back. So if you could prepare a resolution, and we'll put it on the agenda. You know, and we'll decide, huh?
For what, to add the county?
Well, to request, you know, I know Congressman Brian wanted to do a resolution, so you may want to reach up to him.
I can prepare a resolution, I represent County McCoy, by the way, in redistricting. I represented in 2010. Actually, I represented in 2000. I've used constantly telling me about, I love the South County and the rest of this. And we can do it, I guess. And if we do, there's something to do on, can you approach?
And last time we had Will Hurd, and he's a very, very nice guy, but we didn't follow up through on, I mean, we didn't finish anything, you know, on projects that we want. Because now they've opened up earmark, and Tony's been very, very nice. We also have the experience and past performance of Henry, which is up there too. So, you know, what do you choose? You know? Huh? Yes. So if it's possible, good. If it's not, it's okay.
We have our county, fully into the, fully into the congressional district 28 and 28.
So it's like today, even it's not today, because of the CARES Act at 12. So, but Henry can't really come up there because that is,
But he can go into that.
yes. Because around Artesia, the line is strong.
Right there, the line is on.
Yeah, I keep telling him that his line is drawn pretty much for La Bonitas. And if it's out, it's at all the people, J.J. Haynes and, you know, the Dr. Galo and all them from Laredo. He picked them all up. He picked them all up.
It's kind of funny to do that they don't cover the full county. How would it fit the county, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how, but if you look at it, it just draws a little line. So we got 2 of them. Two of them. It may be very beneficial, it may be not. It's something to decide in the future. But we don't want to lose Congressman Poyat, for sure. Tony, we're just learning, you know, how he's gonna be. So he seems very energetic as people come down, huh?
Are you met Tony?
No, I've met his staff, they've been down here, but, that's something to decide at a future date. So, did you get a motion for this?
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Thank you.
Is there any, further discussion? All those in favor say aye. I wrote it in. And I'll sign this copy. And then, we'll come back and get a corrected one.
Sure.
Just so Marty can have it in minutes, and then we'll get a corrected one.
The redistricting, I know Bob Bass is doing as well. We've been using Rolando for a long time. And I always said 1 or 2%, but the safe harbor commissioner precinct must have relatively equal population. It's 10% deviation. But what we have the responsibility for, and it's really clear, is the responsibilities are the county. It's for the federal census data requirement. The redistricting law drives the process. There's a timeline which is being held back by us because of Corona. We're required to balance the commissioner's court precincts, review and adjust precincts, JP precincts, review and create election precincts, and reconfigure or adjust precinct territories or reduce them. And statute prescribed number of JP precincts or commissioner's court, we do have the authority to do so. And one of the things that we're allowed to is balance the JPs based on workload. And it mentions that with, in the Bickershaft requirement. So this is not something we've just made up, but something that has to be done. And when I look at numbers, and we look at the numbers for JP1, at one time I mentioned, I think in 2013, we put a budget of $101 million, and she collected 697,000. Back in 06, she was collecting about 800,000. But then it's gone less and less. In 18, it was 385. In 19, it was 461,000. And back then, there was only a few deputies. This is a number, and over here is JP2. And I started looking at the numbers also, and we're paying out more than comes in. But that was the same thing that we did with Trigo. And he said, give me more tickets. And he started working DPS. And you know what? He started getting into positive. I'll pass it back this way. So Trigo up until 2014 was losing about 44,000. And then in 16, 17, 18, he's had positive amounts. And that's the same thing Wyco asked. He said, give me the 6. It lets us show and you got the numbers coming in. That's what he's asked. So that's what happened with Trigo. Now, if you add the constable's budgets and take them out of those, then it's going to be less. It's going to be over $1 million lost in each precinct other than one, but they also do other things as far as felonies, misdemeanors, so you can't just attach it to JPs. There's no way. And even when they have drug bust and, this kind of cash, so that's just JPs alone. And we've adjusted it, when the money doesn't come in, we adjust it, but if you look at the very beginning in 2005, the salaries were very, very low on the JPs. They were very low. In 2005, the salary of a JP1 was $22,800. And JP2 was $2,800. JP4, if I have $6,500, and JP3 was $1,800. And we balanced them out to where they're all making the same, other than when we've had to reduce it when the money's coming in. Pass that this way. Here. Back over here. What is that? Those are election precincts. They're not the commissioners. So they're saying that election precincts have to be pretty much the same one per one. So Commissioners Court precinct, let's say, should be matching election precinct, meaning, let's say you got John and Emily and Michelle as a Commissioner Court precinct. Well, those three people also have to be in your election precinct. So you can't have another person from another precinct in the election. So they gotta balance. And I think Mr. Rios is online, correct me if I'm wrong. Mr. Rios? What he got on? So yeah, I've been covering the statute, but I also look up, explain the 1-for-1 vote and the 10% deviance on election precincts. On commissioner precincts, election precincts.
Absolutely, Judge. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
No.
You can hear me, right?
No.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna share the screen.
There you go.
I'm going to get to the one person, one vote rule. This presentation will take no more than 10 minutes.
Are you there?
Go ahead. Okay.
We lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. This census, commissioners, is very unusual. We have done 24 censuses since the beginning of our country. The census next to defense is probably the most important thing we do, because the census determines the two most important resources this country gives, and that's political power and funds. Now, you will recall that in 2010, Texas gained 3 new congressional districts, and this time we're going to get 2 new congressional districts. And the census is used to not only give political power, but also to give money for Medicare, Medicaid, and all that. Now, every decade, the census is done between April and October of the decade year. Those 8 months are dedicated to figuring out how many people live in each block in the whole country. So it's extremely important. Now, between April and October of the decade year, it takes 8 months to do the work and to come up with a determination. And normally we have the census data available in April of this year, but here we are in almost August and we still don't have the data. However, the Census Bureau released the ACS data, which is ACS stands for American Community Survey, which is done on an ongoing basis every 5 years and is done at the block group level. And then they impute the population down to the block level. Okay, so we have that data available and I have done the analysis that I sent to you. And here's where we get to the one person, one vote. All right, this is the population for LaSalle County in each commissioner precinct. According to the ACS data. This is your high population one, okay? Which is 1584, which is over here. And this is your low population one, 1217, which is here. Now your ideal is calculated by adding the commissioner precinct population, 5543, dividing it by 4, and this is your ideal. In other words, under the Constitution, in order for your plan to be constitutional, you have to have 1386 or within a 10% deviation. Right now, based on ACS data, if I subtract the lowest from the highest, you have 367 left. And you divide that by the ideal, and you have a 26.48% deviation. Now, this county is unusual because it has what we estimate to be prison population at 1873. That's what they told us. And we are, and again, this is ACS data. These are estimates. These are not your final numbers. And so, like I said, there's two laws that govern redistricting. And one is the one person, one vote rule. And the second one is the Voting Rights Act, which measures the dilution of minorities. In your case, there's no problem there. But every table I'll give you will have those two tables: one person, one vote rule, and then the Voting Rights Act analysis. I drew just a hypothetical district, what I'm calling a demonstration plan. And I equalized the population. I lowered the deviation to 5.48. And the way I got there was now this is just a demonstration. It's hypothetical, just to show you how it's done. I made a change. I moved population from this District 3 into District, I guess this is District 2, I believe. Yeah, District 2 here. And that's the only change I had to make. And that brought the deviation down to 5%. Now remember, the benchmark plan, which is what we have right now, I call it the benchmark plan because it's the benchmark. When you look at the analysis, you see Commissioner Precinct 1 and Commissioner Precinct 4 are close to the ideal. So you really don't have to mess with them unless you want to. This is your process and you make whatever changes you want. So what I did was I moved from 3 to 2, the least amount of changes to come up with this deviation. And this is, again, it's demo 1, demonstration plan 1 at this point. Again, these are ACS numbers and they're not final, but I just wanted to make sure, the reason the Census Bureau set the ACS number is to get everybody ready because the data may not come out until September, late August or September. And then filing is in November. I don't know how the state is going to do this because let's say the data comes out in September, they're going to have October to redistrict the state reps, state senate, and the congressionals, and then have filing in November. And then all the various counties have to correct the voting precinct changes that the legislature is going to make when they redistrict everything. So it's going to be pretty chaotic, but we're ahead of the game. This is where we are. And Judge and commissioners, I'll be more than happy to go over some of this stuff. Oh, the other thing I want to point out to you is that I have
Where did you take some people out from precinct 3? Where did you do your realignment there?
Precinct 3? This is the current line. See the black line? That's the line that we have now. Okay? These are in 3. What I did was I moved them from 3
Estado Neto,
into 2.
also on Dilly Street,
Yes.
all that area, and then coming into,
Here's 35 coming in, and when you come in on 35,
Yeah.
to the right part of,
that area right there.
Precinct what?
this is 35 business.
That's hypothetical. That's based on 2019 numbers.
Yes, this is all hypothetical, just to get you all to start thinking about it.
You know, if he has to get numbers, they can also get them from over in the bottom of 3408, you know, up, you know, instead of going only up to the.
This is not final yet, right?
No, we don't even have the final data. All I'm just saying is that using the ACS data, the 2019, which is supposed to be pretty close, this is one hypothetical change we could make. And the other 2 commissioner precincts can stay the same. But this is where we are right now. And again, this is just food for thought, I guess you might say.
But he could also expand on their on Artesia where it covers to the, there's a few shoulders. No, I mean, I guess around 3408 or some 3. I mean, there's other options. There's other options. There's other options to look at, but this is based on an estimate. It's not final. So once they come up with final numbers, maybe 3 didn't grow as much. That's just, this is not census. This is just an estimate. That's the one I showed you a while ago. And we still need to look at the actual prisoner population to see there was that many prisoners, because in Ensenada, we only had half the prisoners that they have there. So
Now, I wanted to mention, you see the screen there, gentlemen? If you want to make different changes, if you want to make different changes, you just call me, we'll do a Zoom meeting. And for example, let's say you want to move this into 1, I would just simply go make 1 the target.
Sir. You know,
And I would say, okay, let's move these. Then look these into 1. I check it, moves it in there, and it changes the population.
can you hear us?
Yes, I just wanted to show you how we could do it. You're like sitting next to me in the computer, and you tell me what changes you want, and I'll make them right here, and it changes the population up here.
I would like for you to present all this in person.
Absolutely. I love going to there, going to hang out there. Well, now, the only thing, I don't have the computer over there with me, but I can go and give you the whole presentation over there. I don't have the computer to take with me over there, but I can do it like I said, this way. But the presentation, I can go over there and do it in person if you want.
Please.
Let me put this back where they were.
Sí, porque me quiere quitar todo de los traques para allá.
Now, Commissioner, I don't want to do that. I'm just saying that's a hypothetical. I'm not familiar with, I just don't think that I want to take anything away from you. I'm saying that that's a way it could be done.
If we were to redistrict, we would like to have a little bit of input in there and let us help you decide which road to give up and what not to give up.
Absolutely. In other words, I don't have to move this in there. I could move something over here, or I could move something over here. And we could change all the precincts. You don't have to just change the 2 and 3. It's just that my experience is most commissioners like the way their precincts are, because those are the constituents that they service. And so this is like the least amount of change.
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense, gentlemen?
It does a little,
But we won't know
it
until.
would be more understanding if we were to see the papers in front of us. Or,
Now, this whole thing that I just presented to you, I'm gonna email it, and you can print it out as soon as I email it to you. Is that okay?
yes,
It's a basically they're PDFs. It's a PowerPoint, and let me show you here. We get close. Now these are huge blocks. Here are the streets, mira.
see, because on the last, the hearing we just heard here a while ago on the CD, if I'm not mistaken, I heard precinct 3 will not be messed with, and now all of a sudden we're touching it.
Precinct
So-
3 is not being messed on the realignment of the JP. But if you notice, the preliminary numbers he has showed 1,500 people that they're counting. But that's their preliminary estimate of the census based on the 219 that I showed you. So if you look on that, if you can go back to those
'Cause
numbers.
On that last meeting, I also asked you, Mr. Rios, I wanted the numbers to compare from last time y'all did the redistricting to this time. And if I'm correct, to this day, I don't have the numbers.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure I've got to look into the 2010 files. Absolutely. This is the area we're talking about. Can you all see it better?
Yeah.
In 2010, we did a 5 for the forum. That's why everybody's like a little less.
But right now, it's just based on a 19. It doesn't have to, if 3 gets bigger, you gotta lose a street or 2 streets or something.
Yeah, but I want to have an input in that. I don't want, just,
Yeah.
oh, here's the map and this is what we
But,
did.
but, yeah, but he said at the beginning, this is just his looking at it. It's not happening. We haven't voted on that.
Yeah, it's just a hypothetical.
That's
I
it.
don't
You can
know
play with it. All we did in our thing, which is in the map, was realign the JP. It's in the order. We didn't touch the map whatsoever.
But
We didn't touch them.
realign those, that messes up the precinct.
No, it doesn't. Not the JPs.
No, forget about the JPs. When you go like this, keep a move here, move there.
But you have to do it once the final numbers are out. The final numbers are out. You can change that 100 different ways, but it's not gonna make any difference because no numbers are out. No numbers are done. And, you know, we can say, hey, well, we're gonna cut this little, make the line straighter, but if the numbers don't support it, it can't be done. So we have to wait until the numbers are out.
I do have a
So,
question.
I mean, we can argue here all day or weeks at a time, but until the numbers. you
I don't
know-
want to argue. I just want to have my input on.
Yeah, and those changes aren't being done right now, and we haven't voted on that.
No, none of those changes. have
If you
been
look
done.
at,
But I do have a
look
question.
at the,
Let me ask you something. Does it make sense that
his
precinct-
presentation in the first, in the,
Pero that's why a long time ago, I asked him for the numbers from back then till now. I haven't gotten them yet. I want to see where's the big difference, the big change they're gonna do on, now that we're talking about precinct 3. I want to find out where the changes are at. I want to see the difference from back then, because I wasn't here on the last
and that can be
redistricting.
done, but I'll tell you what, it's all on file in Margie's office. It's in the minutes. The last redistrict maps and the current redistrict maps, they're all there. They're all there. And we can, you know, do it ourselves, or we can do it him as well. Showed us, and he mentioned right up front, right here, it's the American Community Survey 2019 US Census. The census we're doing is a 20. And it's not estimate. We're waiting for the actual numbers to come. So they're estimating changes of 1584. This matches. But those are people pushing a computer that don't see the people moving into the neighborhoods are out. So once they come up with those numbers, then we sit down and we all vote on the changes of who gets what. You know, what gets what road, and you have an idea of what people you're getting. You know, and we can come down and do different models and explain it to you. That's not a problem. And by then we can do the, you know, I guess we can show you different examples of how it works. Okay, what if 3 goes up? What if 5 goes up? What if 2 goes up? What if it goes in Ensenada more? How does it affect? Because if Ensenada grows with more people, somebody over here from Center Street may end up moving back to where it was.
If we're gonna wait for on all that, then I'd rather table this line item till he has all that ready.
Well, the thing is, we've already voted.
I mean, the vote's okay, but on this,
Yeah.
I'd rather table.
This is not on the agenda right now.
Well, then why are we showing it
I
up?
mean, I don't know, we're covering the area, but we had mentioned one vote, one rule, and that's what it kind of went into that,
Okay.
you
Does it
know.
make sense that Commissioner Precinct 3 is growing the fastest?
But we really don't know that until the census is done.
I know that, but I'm just saying from what you know of the county, does it make sense?
Yeah, we really don't know that because it seems that in Ensenada, there's no more lots anymore to people to live in Cotula. The whole town, there's no more lots, and a lot of people have moved to one. So there's a shortage of places to live, so it's gonna be interesting what the census is gonna have. And then you have people that came in with the oil field that moved into different little ranches as well that aren't being counted. So, I mean, I'd like to see what the final numbers are.
Oh, yeah, no, we're not gonna do anything. We can't do anything until we have the final numbers. By law, you have to use the actual 2020 census.
Go back to the line item.
So we're gonna go back to the line item. You can go back to September 2nd is very short.
29.
That's very short.
So there's no action on realigning yet.
No, not on Commissioner Precinct.
Just to withdraw.
Yeah, the presentation, I look at what Bob does, Bickershaft is another one, and then there's stuff on the state. Is it working?
Yeah, but Mike,
Huh?
you got the mic.
You need to stop sharing? Okay, can you cut him off? Can you?
Sorry,
Yes,
dile que ya, no.
Okay, we're gonna continue the meeting. I think you said you have to stop sharing.
say again?
Sorry, take a break.
Oh, you want me to stop sharing? Not a problem.
Thank you.
Whatever that means.
Thank you. Let me know if you want me to go down there.
Okay, we'll let you know.
So just going back to the line item. Oh,
No?
Oh. No era ese. Oh, yeah, it was.
I can send this to you off from Bickershaft and then. It's like Bass, they did another presentation for some other, but I look at others as well. I still look at Bass's stuff, so they got their stuff with Bass and Lynn. But, you know,
Do they want both or
huh?
which two of them in there
What?
on that CD?
It's number 1 and the item 6, it's like 3 minutes into it.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here at the regular meeting of the LaSalle County water line. However, we would like to get it recorded into the speed record. So for the city of Tula is running water to Numa property along the trench. So basically, we just need a right-of-way agreement. And the same thing for Fullerton, so we just need to authorize Mr. Ramos to create the agreement, because he has to do it for the city, because he already knows that he's the one that prepared that. Part of the project as well, we had talked about doing a water park, and then it kind of died out, I didn't have any interest. Then Commissioner, let me just brought it back and revised it. Mr. Almond studied that and planned that, and then I think you're gonna go ahead and get his expertise in doing that. Get it started. You know, if that's the case, we've known Mr. Almond for years, and, you know, he did design that complex, he did the courthouse. And if you wanted to get him started on, you know, 1 and 3, that way he can meet you. I don't need on Zoom with Almond. Can we get a better picture? How are you doing? This is good as I've done. Can you hear us really good? Yes, I can hear you really well. Huh? I mean, we can decide the site later. Huh? Yes.
On that, just what time are we looking at the?
We're looking at for precinct 1 on the site somewhere around the nutrition center. We try to keep everybody there. There's land.
So he would be separate, and a little every day.
Yeah, we still need to find a place for Commissioner, I don't mind the I mean, we can do, there's enough, you gotta have that road, you could have people, the round and the Joseph, that's not done, that's the biggest, yeah, we can work around it there and expand it, and I asked Commissioner, I asked Mr. Almond, if there's enough room for your yard back there, Commissioner. And he said he'd work with the development of that yard too, he thought there was enough room. What negotiation on something down there? Yeah. And so, Mr. Almond, the site for 4 and 5 will change. And I don't know if Commissioner Ramirez has any alternative sites that he'd like.
Yeah. All right, that was the one across high school.
No, that's the one across, well, 363 is the park that he designed.
Yes.
361 is for the construction for the dialysis in that area. And 364, we had talked about a couple sites, even, we also talked about putting it off the roofs if we needed to, you know, since Mr. Dolina knows the number, but you can also do the site there. You can also do the site there. And what we need today is to authorize Mr. Almond to go ahead and start developing the site plans and to meet with you for the building plans of each location.
The idea is that we would have a single plan for each one of the commissioners and JP offices. So they're all very similar, and they'd be based very similar on what we designed over on the Martinez Park there, the health center there.
using that type of permanent construction, CMU and veneer CMU on top of that. The idea that we would make them all the same so they have a similar look and everybody knows that that would be the JP Commissioner's Court location. The big difference is, do we have a yard behind the one that we looked at for precinct 3? And then, is there any other extra storage spaces that have parking in reality, somewhere, directly adjacent to the JP office, but we would have, if we do a parking for equipment, it would be somewhere behind it or remote, so that even if we had one over there next to the fire station, is there an entry off the back street so the equipment could come in and out without coming in through the park? Was the reason I looked at that one over there. The other one was behind the dialysis building. That was, that goes up the hill there, and I think that was property that was already owned near the cemetery there. And then we looked at one across from the high school, but that was on county property. That was the one that the judge just spoke about. But we started the design, that it would be one design for all three.
Yeah, if you look at the drainage, you look at it, well, that's a place that's close around the drainage, and that's why today we would authorize them to proceed with the site plan and the plans for each facility and work with you on the final site. So that way, if you feel after either plan, it's not going to fit, I think we go over here, but each commissioner would decide where it goes. So that's what we went into today, but that way he can start on that. And, there's some other land that's for sale in the surrounding, and I know people want park space and more baseball players, and there's also some private interest in those properties for development, and I'd rather see how it plays out with the private interest, because maybe, we can get that property for additional park space too. But there's a need for different access to fields. I mean, we told them that we can put that on a later date. But for now, Mr. Allen, we would need a motion to authorize Mr. Allen to proceed with the site plan and the architectural plans for each facility, and for him to work with each individual commissioner for respective construction, for approval, that you're going to decide where the 3 finally grasp you're going to decide for, and he'll come back and authorize it for bids. Okay.
I would like to make a motion for the county budget for precinct 1, 3, and 4, and proceed the application of the county commissioners. I'll second.
Okay.
Motion has been made, the second. But we covered it during the budget. Huh? We covered it in the budget, and I was gonna cut Megarino because the money didn't come in. He said, give him a break. I said, I'll give in if we do 4 and 5. And he said, yes. Then we hired Killis to do this, and he's an architect. He turns down business. So we can still do 1 and 3. But the thing is, those people depend on our decisions as well. And they make decisions to take our work because we've been very reliable. And that's where my concern is that all these projects, they depend on the county to be the good payer, reliable, stick by our guns, and sometimes, we have to break away from it, but this time, we're way into it. We spent a lot of time. And we spent money, and it is going back to the same thing. We get after them a little bit, and oh yeah, I'm going to work. Oh, I'm out there. I see them out there, but over time, the numbers, the numbers don't lie.
I just hate to bring it up. His cousin. Does he work?
Huh?
Does his cousin work?
Whose cousin?
How come you don't say about Victor? He's a good friend of mine. I mean, does he work like the other ones, like me?
I've met with him. I've talked to him. He's handling everything George tells him. He's handling everything George gives him. That's all that's asked.
Okay.
So is he or not? I mean, that's what you bring in George, because each constable answers to the JP. They got more.
Okay.
How's your relationship with Pee Wee? Is it good?
You don't work.
I'm asking Judge Weichel. I mean, y'all good relationship.
We get along pretty good. He's in the office together.
Yeah, I mean, so George would be more the judge on that.
He brings a lot of revenue to 5 or 3.
This is the thing.
3.
Like on Weichel and 2, if we look at the money that's coming in from Weichel and JP2, and I'll give you an example. In 2018, once the money comes in, it was a loss at 65,000. And last year, numbers off, but probably about a $30,000 loss. And we went through that with Trigo also. Mm-hmm. And when Trigo started getting more, he started losing money from the very beginning. So he wasn't collecting enough to cover. But once he started working with the DPS, just as Weichel, it started going up. So he was losing all the way up here, 12,000 here, 44,000, and then in 15, 102, 104, 26, 18, 117, 19 was a little bit slow, 51, I don't have the 20. But as they expanded their area, and by Weichel expanding to 6, his revenues go up. I get the calls when people don't answer the phone, when JPs don't answer the phone. I don't get calls for Weichel. I don't get calls for George. Janie doesn't get many cases, so I don't get calls from her. I get them from Roxanne all the time. And it doesn't mean they're not answering the phone. It may be that they have more work than they need. So you redistribute the work to where they can all collect.
Yeah, Janie has gotten 30 tickets in a month from outside DPS.
Well, you got a number of troopers here for a while. This is a 10-year plan. This is a 10-year plan. My thing in doing this, and you say why I get angry, it's the games that are played, Commissioner. The games that are played because it takes time. We get this man to come do work over here and do a plan, and then we're going to tell him, no, we don't want it because of, whatever. It's the same thing I saw with the Culvers of Jardín. Chris wasn't the low bid, he didn't get it. And then it comes around, you do it again, and it costs us twice as much. I'm for local, but be straight up. Be straight up. We can give advantages to local and give them a percentage since they're local, or disadvantaged business. There's ways to take care of them. But we started this through the budget, and now we're here, and, now we don't want to do it. We have Judge Weichel. Judge Weichel asked for 2 and 6.
Oh, we got
him 2 and 6.
They have only stayed 35 years.
And a while ago you said that he was happy the way he was, but he doesn't want 6.
I need pretty bad because you all want to have a budget and all that stuff. I need to keep my revenue going. Jack and I talked yesterday about it, but I want to keep my revenue going. And I didn't know it was a population that was going through, but that's good too.
But there's a balance, because if there's an expansion in precinct 2 and 6, it doesn't have to go this side of track, it goes this way, and it shifts around, you know, but we won't know until the final numbers are there, and we don't know what the final numbers are there. But aligning the JP precinct is much easier, so you know what? They're all equal, they get paid equal, you know, they got the equal amount of people that vote for them, you know, and there you go, I mean.
What happened just, it's a couple of years ago. What happened is that we started paying the constables the same and the JPs the same. So that's where it all started.
But we started paying them the same.
Yes, yeah, I remember.
And when we met with the constables, we needed law enforcement, we were already paying benefits. So we met with all of them and they agreed. Some of them work, some of them don't.
And we
But
paid
they're-
more because of the dog.
But they're elected officials, but
Yeah.
Pee-wee's out everywhere. He's out in the accidents, you know, he's out there. And you have a presence. But we're talking about the JP precincts. It's a constable precinct, so do we realign them? You know, you were worried about Ensenada losing to someone in Cotula, and so, you know, your redistricting is very, very important. But there's always been about twice as many voters out of precinct 2 than there are out of precinct 6. It's always been that number. And I know in 20, 30 years, longer than that, they've never lost, that I know of, a position. Ensenada's never given up one of their positions, ever, that I've known. And I don't think they intend to now. I just don't see it happening. And if somebody was to win, they'd have to come work over here because this is where we built it. But on the precinct 4, we've been going back and forth with that. They work, they don't work, and I'm the bad guy, you know.
Well,
but if other people don't work, they get fired.
The reason they can't work together is because husband and wife. Is that a new law? Because before they used to do it.
No, what happens, the Judicial Commission came down on them and said that's a conflict of interest. No new law, it's always been there. But somebody filed a complaint with the Judicial Commission. So the state came down and said, hey, you can't do that. But even so.
Because Miguel and Ricky, they were husband and wife.
But nobody ever filed a complaint with them. You can file a complaint if you want.
No, I don't care about that.
You're entitled to that. But there was a